Santorum that, Mitt Romney just did his 2011 taxes in his head. But the thing about Romney is what it is it's this McKinsey, Bain, PowerPoint thing, right? Where he's got this checklist in his head of the 5 points I must make. And so actually, if you read the transcripts of it, they're great answers sometimes. But it's so clearly check, check, check. I've said all the things that he said, check, and he said all the things. It's very similar to me with Bush, George W., where his style was such that you couldn't pay attention to what the substance of what he's saying because there was something else going on. Bush actually, if you read the transcripts from those debates between Bush and Kerry, Bush comes across far more coherent in the transcripts. But the problem with the way Bush talks, he's not dead, is that he sounds like, that feeling you get when you're walking down a flight of stairs and you miss a step? And you're like, where's my foot? Like you're that instant of panic, and then you find the step and you're okay, right? You were constantly worried by the way Bush talked. Is he going to stick the landing? And so you didn't actually listen to the words anymore because the way Romney has a similar problem where he is just racing to get this stuff out. Because I'm checking off constituencies and now I've answered the question.
It's not that bad. I mean, I personally am nervous. Rodney makes me a little nervous just
because you're so attracted to him.
Because I love him so much. I don't think he likes me.
Because he's so right-wing.
It's just equal to right-wing for me. I'm going to go out of squish. Is anybody feeling like, okay, after this debate, okay, Romney? Anybody have that?
No. Let's not get back to your very depressing.
I was so interested. If anybody here has a Romney dress, I will put it on.
What?
Anybody here have a paper Romney dress?
I don't understand.
I don't understand, but I'm interested.
This is called setting up a bit and then having the person responsible leaving early. So,
wow.
Anyway,
what I was going to say was that our side, writ large, right, has this problem with the High Wire Act, right? There's always every debate is saying, the presidential level, we're kind of like this. And with our friends on the other side, we always seem to be explaining, no, he didn't mean, no, that was because, no, see, the original context, we all sound crazy because our guys can't talk. And it does seem to me a little bit tonight that maybe Romney can talk.
No, I think
better than, that's fair. Whatever the merits or lack of merits are, but that's why I wanted Christie so badly, because I just thought I will sit while Christie walks out on the stage when Obama's coming out for the first presidential debate, and I'm going to order a pizza and a beer, and I'm going to put my feet up, and I'm going to have the best night of my life.
Yeah, no. You got to admit, you're absolutely right with that. Christie gives this sense that a debate between Christie and Obama is something he could tailgate before.
Oh, yeah.
So I got brats, wings, awesome, king, bring the game. I have a big phone one. Perry, I have to say, Perry tonight, actually, he's gotten better in these debates. Really low bar. Really low bar, best Perry performance ever is, best Oktoberfest in Orlando. It's not saying a lot, but it's saying something. Perry, what I liked about Perry as entertainment, but why I didn't want to see him go up against Obama, he shows up at these debates, and he walks out on that stage with that posture and that chest, and he's like, I'm going to chest bump all you bitches. That's the way he comes out.
Well, he's also got the squint. He tips his head down, he squints a little bit, and it's like I'm aiming to shoot that marmot down there.
That's right.
I think it's him on the nose.
The squint is he's looking at your hand near your holster to see if you're going to draw.
And I like that. But then when he talks, you always think that he's leading up to a point that he's going to make, unlike Romney, who's racing to the point that he never makes. Barry never gets around to the big point that he wants.
Well, that's a good point, and I think it was John Huntsman who said, "Ow!"
Chinese gibberish. I just love the idea that somewhere, when it was 10,000 miles away, Chinese, what are the 4 in the morning? Chinese intelligence. Oh! President,
But speaking of China, hold on one second. Speaking of Chinese gibberish, there's a fantastic, a total non sequitur, but that's what I do. This fantastic website, I can't remember the name of it, that all it does is translate Chinese character tattoos. And for real, I mean, seriously, you can Google it pretty easily if you find it, whatever. I'll put a link in the corner, you know, on Monday. I swear it exists. And it's like, seriously, like these tattoos, which look all ornate, wonderful, you see all these women, you know, their lower backs and their arms, whatever. They say, I mean, it'd be funnier if they said things like, I have chlamydia, because that would be more accurate. But instead, like, it's literally stuff like, you know, orange buffalo.
Right.
And, you know, 1297. You know, I mean, it's just total nonsense. But the people.
Chinese character for strength that comes from beauty and peace and a sense of your own worth. No, it's actually the Chinese character for the garbage comes on Tuesdays.
But you know, these people, they get these tattoos and they think it means all these wonderful things, and then they, you know, they print the emails these people wrote with the pictures, and it's things like, you know, I got this tattoo and I finally went to China and I was walking around through downtown Beijing and people were laughing at me. So I want to know what this means. You know, it means stuff like, you know, your cigarettes are full of camels. I mean,
My hovercraft is full of eels. That translation of what he said. I mean, if it was something like Red Prince to Black Queen, abort, abort.
I immediately turned to Rich Lowry, you know, and I said, I guarantee you know, Rich Lowry, praise be upon his name. He's not only a handsome man, he's a powerful man. But I guarantee you that New York Times tomorrow has, you know, New York Times, which is apparently now Newt Gingrich's favorite newspaper, has a piece on whether or not he said it accurately. Because, I mean, it does seem like he was activating a sleeper cell.
Yeah.
Every American, you know, spends 4 hours in China, and it's all the Joy Luck Club from then on. Like, oh, you know, the Chinese have a saying, but the Chinese have a saying for everything. The Chinese have a saying you should not run, and you should only run. The caterpillar both runs and walks at the same time with all its legs. Think about that.
The Chinese have a saying, don't run with scissors. That makes it so much wiser.
Right, right. And the idea of somehow, and actually I thought that was interesting that for Romney just suddenly just like, he didn't have to, because, you know, who cares? It's John Huntsman, it's not a threat. But you could just see him finally say, you know, that's it. You work for Obama. Like strange things, like this is probably some Mormon.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. It's like, sometimes when you go to the dog park and someone says, well, you know, mine's an unaltered male. And you're like, oh, okay, so I should keep my dog away from it. It's like, these are Mormons. There's a whole sort of like history. Yeah. There's wavelength stuff.
Or just
that we don't understand.
Or he's just tired of it. He's just like, dude, I'm not gonna get away with that.
Well, interesting, we're talking about these guys and not Santorum. Isn't that the performance? Was everybody was watching for?
I thought he was fine.
I thought he did. Well, go on.
The middle class thing was odd.
Well, you know, the middle class thing is odd, particularly when I just, for the heck of it, because we got all this modern technology, Googled Rick Santorum middle class. And I came to a site, Santorum hopes to rebuild middle class. It's a story about him. It's a good story, and it's posted at ricksantorum.com. So there may be a little late-coming objection to that term. I don't have the same problem with middle class. It's a fairly standard.
Actually, I do have a huge problem with middle class.
Well, then go on and tell me what.
Well, because first of all, it is sort of a quasi-Marxist thing to categorize people by their classes. And the idea that in American politics, by some definitions, about 90% of the American people are middle class.
But it's a term that they assume themselves. They say, it's not one ascribed to them. People say, I'm middle class.
But as Dash points out in The Incredibles, if everybody's special, nobody is. If everybody's middle class, no one is, right? And what it allows a lot of politicians to do is to do a sort of dog whistle thing where they say, I'm speaking to your values. So Bill Clinton goes out and talks about how he's fighting for the middle class. That was how he ran in 1992. It was all about, I'm fighting for the middle class, middle class. And what it was that typical sort of Reagan Democrat, Republican leaning voters heard, I'm talking about your values.
Right.
Liberals heard, I'm going to write you more checks. And and it was a brilliant move on his part to do it, and now all the, now all Democrats, that's all they talk about is middle class.
I would prefer middle class to the term working class, which is used exclusively to mean people who belong to unions.
Yeah, but look at
public service members.
The bone-shaking stupidity of saying that somehow a fairly successful mechanic in Cleveland has more in common with a dental hygienist in California because they have the same income, even though one is an evangelical Christian and the other one is an atheist and all the rest. It is a way to define people solely by their economic strata that really doesn't capture what people are actually about. It doesn't capture what they really care about. What's his name? Thomas Frank, one of my least favorite people. He has a book, What's the Matter with Kansas? And his whole thesis is that voters who vote on social issues are idiots because they don't care about their real interests. Who the hell is this guy to tell these people what their real interests are? What moves you is guns and religion or the highway going past someone's house. Those are the issues that matter to you.
Well, but it also reveals that great thing that people who are media elites, which is a term too used, but it fits here, where you meet somebody who makes this astonishing salary that's incredibly small as far as you're concerned. It's like, how do you people live on that? And they, we raise kids, we have, 4 kids. How on earth do you do such a thing? And those are the people you look down on because their values are clearly sort of somewhat beyond your ability to go and afford whatever it is vacation you want to afford. A lot of people make that distinction all the time. I mean, that is something that you when you decide to categorize people merely by their sort of economic behavior, I mean to say, you end up kind of preloading the argument, right?
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into the series.
Why not? It's funny.
You're starting to sound like a guy who, after his sons are asleep, stays up and reads an economics book.